Next up, we got times referees ruined the NFL. Now, we all know referees, especially this year, referees have been at all-time low. And it's not even just in the NFL. In all sports. All right, literally all sports, referees have been selling out. So let's just hope, all right, Lions versus Bucks game, they give the calls for the Lions, all right? Give the calls for the Lions. Do not sell the Lions out, please. All right? But hey, you want more videos like this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's just hop into it.
That's a bad call. That can't happen.
Referees and officials are a part of the sports we love, whether we like it or not. Umpires call baseball games, refs call fouls and technicals in the NBA, and NFL officials throw little yellow flags in the air whenever they see something illegal on the field. Realistically, we couldn't live without the zebras, but oh man, there are times we wish that we could. When they're doing a great job and calling a great game, nobody notices their presence. Things go smoothly and there's no trouble. But sometimes an official's call can completely change the outcome of a game. And if it's the wrong call, the ref's name will go down in the history books for an all-time blunder. These are some of the worst calls in NFL history that have altered playoff games, Super Bowls, and the entire season of the franchise on the wrong end of the mistake. Let's start with one of the biggest blunders in recent memory. Labeled the worst no call ever, the refs missed a whopper in the NFC Championship game of the 2018-2019 season. Tied at 2020, the Saints and the Rams were vying for a spot in the Super Bowl, and the Saints were looking to convert a 3rd and 10 in Rams territory with less than 2 minutes on the clock. Breeze had Tommy Lee Lewis going out on a wheel route down the sideline, and as he threw the ball his way, Rams cornerback Nickel Roby-Coleman blew him up well in advance of the ball reaching the receiver. It was a clear as day pass interference call, as well as a helmet-to-helmet contact.
Oh, dang. Oh, shit, it is the helmet-to-helmet.
Pass interference call, as well as a helmet-to-helmet contact.
Yeah, they literally cheat. They did. That's look at the ref. Look at him right now. He like, there ain't no thought. There ain't no ref. Nah. And honestly though, yeah, bro, it's gonna be tough. Hey, man.
Coach Sean Payton and the entire Mercedes-Benz Superdome into a frenzy of rage.
Look how he just waved him off.
Mercedes-Benz
he just waved the fuck off my face. Wow, bro. He know he fucked up too.
It cost the Saints the game, and the Rams headed to the Super Bowl. After the game, Roby-Coleman himself admitted that he was expecting a flag, and Payton was told by officials that they messed up the call. That ended Drew Brees and the Saints' season from a promising Super Bowl run.
Wow.
What type of reform would you like to see from the NFL? What should be enforced upon the poor calls from the refs? Let us know in the comments. When it comes to messing up a call, you'd think at least the coin toss was straightforward enough to get right. You'd be wrong. The Detroit Lions and Pittsburgh Steelers had been grinding out a tough football match on Thanksgiving 1998, which was tied at 16 apiece when the Steelers converted a late field goal attempt. The result was overtime, and that's when the game became famous. Jerome Bettis marched out to greet referee Phil Luckett at the 50-yard line. The Steelers had the right to call the coin toss that decides the possession of the football, and it was Bettis who called heads, or did he call tails? Phil Luckett heard heads, and the coin landed on tails, so that the Lions would receive possession. Bettis immediately looked stunned, as if he'd been cheated. He spun around with his arms in the air, claiming he called tails, and arguing with Luckett, who was adamant he heard heads. The frenzy went on for quite a while, including Luckett having to explain what went on to Coach Bill Cowher and the entire Steelers sideline before overtime could even get underway. Bettis' first choice was...
Don't they got a fat-ass camera right here? Just roll the tape. But hey, man, if you help the Lions out, that's all I want to hear. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at it.
And as Luckett began to flip the coin, he immediately changed his mind to tails. The result sounded a little like head-tails. Luckett correctly took Bettis' first answer. And the
he changed his... he was trying to finesse. Okay, never mind.
Flip the coin, he immediately changed his mind to tails. The result sounded a little like head-tails. Luckett correctly took Bettis' first answer, and the Lions would go on to score a touchdown on the opening drive, winning the game.
Yes, sir.
Bettis joked later that Coach Cowher fired him from coin toss responsibilities, and the event sparked a phenomenon around the coin toss in the NFL. Players held signs and yelled heads to make sure they'd been heard correctly, and the league now states that you must call the coin toss before the coin is flipped.
That's what everyone does. That since when that wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Since when you feel me, low? Who calls it in the air? Like, that's dumb, because that's literally could happen. Head tails. You can literally do that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would think that they would do, but whatever.
And the league now states that you must call the coin toss before the coin is flipped. At Super Bowl 40, the Steelers found themselves amidst a heavy call controversy once again. This time, they were on the right side of it, and the Seahawks fans got the blunt end. In fact, the Seahawks were so enraged by the calls in this game that they have booed referees for years. Seattle had a touchdown revoked in the game because of what was deemed offensive pass interference in one of the softest push-offs you'll ever see. It was a call that should absolutely have never been made in a game of that magnitude, but it didn't stop there.
I don't know. The reason I feel like he called this flag is because how much separation he got. Like, granted, he didn't push him that much. Like, it wasn't really like a true pushing out my way and then I go catch the ball. Like, he was just like a, you know, it's like a little, like, you know, because they do that. They get rough. You know what I'm saying? They do that, bro. So that's allowed. But
never been made.
He just stood there. Like, that's how I feel like he pushed a little bit and dove for the ball, so he made a good play. And number 2 just start arching his back and, you know what I'm saying, like he ready to get twerk or something. I don't know. Like, bro, I feel like that's the only reason they called that, bro, because it's how much separation he got. Like,
never been made in a game of that magnitude. But it
I don't know, man. That's kind of controversial. Let me know in the comments how y'all feel about this call right here, bro.
Absolutely have never been made in a game of that magnitude.
It wasn't that.
But it didn't stop there. Ben Roethlisberger then led the Steelers down the field before attempting a quarterback sneak, which was ruled a touchdown, but certainly looked short. And once again, Seattle was beside themselves that the call had gone against them.
Wow.
The Steelers now led the game 7-3. And the Seahawks felt that they were playing against both Pittsburgh and the officials.
That's what I'm saying.
Then there was a missed offsides call on the Steelers' defense that was instead called holding on the offense,
it was kind of
negating
holding.
a completed pass that took Seattle to the 2-yard line in the fourth quarter. Seattle lost the game and still feels robbed to this day, while Seahawks fans maintain the penalties in the game had nothing to do with the outcome. According to reports, official Bowl LVII admitted a few years later that his crew had hosed the Seahawks and that he felt bad about it, which is...
Nigga, what the fuck? They're literally saying it now? They're literally saying it. They used to keep it a secret. Now they're saying it in broad daylight. We felt bad about it after we literally... Man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. And y'all try to say, oh, this shit not scripted. That shit scripted, bro. This shit scripted. The refs got parlays on either team. You know what I'm saying? They got some sports betting going on, bro. Hey.
Admitted a few years later that his crew had hosed the Seahawks and that he felt bad about it, which is pretty significant. And there's still bitterness between Seahawks and Steelers fans over the outcome today. A few years later, in 2012, the Seahawks got a little luck of their own against the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. The NFL had employed replacement refs due to striking by the officials, and this game was one of the key reasons for bringing the strike to an end. Losing the game, Russell Wilson launched a Hail Mary into a sea of Packers defenders in the end zone, which was clearly picked off by a defender. As they came down, Golden Tate put his hands on the ball and ripped it away from the Packers DB, causing pandemonium in the end zone. One ref signaling touchdown and the other signaled incomplete, standing right next to one another over the players in question lying in the end zone. Seattle was awarded the touchdown and with it the win, and the game is now labeled the Hail Mary game. The proper officials were back in action shortly after that. Seattle's misfortune in the Super Bowl is not the only example either. In fact, a controversial call at Super Bowl 57, Philly versus Kansas City, left fans bemused in the dying moments. There had already been some questionable calls in the game, but a holding call at a crucial moment decided the outcome of that game.
I remember this.
But a holding call at a crucial moment decided the outcome of that.
Yeah, this is definitely
questionable calls in the game, but a holding call at a crucial moment.
Let me know in the comments, bro, because this is still controversial, bro. I ain't gonna lie. This is still controversial to this day. Me personally, I feel like this is just normal football, bro. Like, it's at a point in time, bro. Y'all gotta stop being so soft, bro. Stop being so soft. They're literally going to get. I think they literally just the ball snapped, so he's within the 5 yards. Within 5 yards you can jam whatever. After 5 yards you can't touch him no more. You can't hold him, no nothing. So I think they was within the 5 yards, like they right now they like 4 yards. You know what I'm saying? And he did have his arm around him. Yes, I ain't gonna lie, he did. But I feel like the only reason they called this call is just because the ball was overthrown.
Moment decided the outcome of that game.
The ball was overthrown, so it looked like the only reason he didn't catch the ball is because he got held. If he wouldn't have got held, he would have been, you know what I'm saying, he would have caught it.
Calls in the
I think that's the only reason, bro.
At a crucial moment decided the outcome of that game.
He didn't hold him, bro. He just touched him. He touched him.
Calls in the game, but a holding call at a crucial moment decided the outcome of that game. Now, was it holding? Arguably, yes. One of the lightest holding calls you'll ever see.
Right,
James
thank you.
Bradbury himself did admit it was holding, but the argument was that the referees shouldn't be the ones determining the outcome of a tightly contested and otherwise superb Super Bowl with a holding call. The call gave the Chiefs a first down with barely 90 seconds left on the clock, and the game tied at 35 apiece. The throw from Mahomes was way out of reach of Juju Smith-Schuster anyway, and could and should have been deemed an uncatchable ball anyway. But the holding stood, and the Chiefs ran out the clock and kicked a field goal to win the Super Bowl. The announcers proceeded to say that on this stage at that moment, you absolutely can't call that, and everybody but Chiefs fans around the world tended to agree. The Chiefs found themselves in the firing line of a horrible call a couple of years earlier against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. New England was trailing by 4 in the fourth quarter, and Brady threw an incompletion on second down. When the official called roughing the passer on number 95, people were stunned. And when they showed the replay, that emotion went from stunned to filled with never-ending rage. Chris Jones slapped the shoulder of Tom Brady, which was more like a friendly pat as he reached over his blocker to try and effect the throw. It's one of the most pathetic roughing the passer calls we've ever seen, and it led to the Patriots winning the game and the Super Bowl, leaving a sour taste in the mouths of those who remember that call that night. Of course, Brady is not a stranger to a dubious foul call, which is one of the things that gave fans a reason to actively root against him so often. That and the fact that he just kept winning Super Bowls, of course. But the tuck rule was one of the most controversial and now famous calls in NFL history. With less than 2 minutes to play and trailing in the game in the snow, Brady was hit on a cornerback blitz by legendary corner Charles Woodson, which knocked the ball loose. Rather than it being deemed a fumble, the tuck rule was brought into play, citing that Brady's arm was going forward, but he began to tuck the ball before it was knocked loose. The Patriots went on to win the divisional round game in overtime, and the commentators at the time of the call stated that the call might be talked about for a long time to come. They'd be right. That game was in 2001, and we still talk about it today as one of the most intriguing calls of all time. Brady has joked multiple times that it might have indeed been a fumble. Too late now. Staying on topic of Brady being on the right side of a questionable call, let's fast forward to the 2017-2018 season and, again, the AFC Championship game. The Patriots were trailing 20-10, and a trick play had resulted in a positive gain down the sideline that might have resulted in some points on the drive. That was until Jaguars linebacker Miles Jack ripped the ball away from Dion Lewis and sealed the win for Jacksonville. He had a clean run to the end zone, but referees blew up and called the play dead, sparking outrage from Miles Jack on the field. It was ruled a first down for Jacksonville, but they had a touchdown stolen from them by calling the play dead. The Jags would more than likely have headed to the Super Bowl with Blake Bortles. Imagine that, Jags fans. No more Trevor Lawrence. There are so many more we could talk about. Trey Flowers and the Detroit Lions getting hosed against the Green Bay Packers, or in the 2014 wildcard game where Matt Stafford congratulated the referee for the first ever overturned pass interference call, a flag which you are not typically allowed to pick up. That, and it was an obvious pass interference. But let's finish with the Dez Bryant catch, another of the most famous calls in NFL history, and one that Dez still likes to bring up every now and then today. This play happened in the 2014 NFC divisional round between the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers, and fans still argue over the call as if it was yesterday, almost a decade later. Dallas was trailing by 5 in the game, which meant going for it on 4th and 2 with around 4 minutes to go in the game. They opted to target Des Bryant down the far sideline and got a good look with the throw too, which was then caught, or not caught, by Des, putting the Cowboys on the 1-yard line. Upon review, it was deemed incomplete as Des bobbled it, and there was some movement with the ball as he hit the ground. There's about 12 different angles of the play, and you could argue it both ways from every angle. Ultimately, the play
They called that an incomplete? I thought they just called that the 1-yard line.
Of the play, and you could
no,
argue it
that's
both ways
tough.
from every angle. Ultimately, the play was turned over, and the Cowboys lost the game. I think it was fair to say the organization and Des himself weren't particularly happy about it. But they would be happy if you subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of great content.